I'm Wayne Miller, board member.
I'm Amy Rivera, board member.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ted Igus, board member.
Ryan McSherry, Board Counsel.
Deborah Richardson, Boards Administration.
Philip Motto, Boards Administration.
I'm Matthew Wojcik, LNI Supervisor.
Thomas Rybakowski, City of Philadelphia, License and Inspections.
Okay, let's get started. Tom, could you please raise your right hand? Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, Pedro, could you please raise your right hand? Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Respond, Pedro.
Yes.
Okay, good. Phil, want to put it in the record?
Yes, sir. This is case number 1 on today's list. MI 2023-005-660 for the property located at 4123 Salem Street. The appellant is Pedro Segura. He's here in the room today.
Okay, Tom, could you tell us a little bit about the case?
So we have the property at 4123 Salem Street was declared unsafe following an emergency call for a response and an emergency call for a fire that occurred at the property. There were issues with the roof of the property, and that's what the violation was written and declared for. I do have a packet together for and which shows photographs that were taken of the subject property at the time the property was inspected in early August, showing the damage to the main roof of the structure. In the interest of time, I'll just share my screen, and while I'm sharing my screen, at the conclusion of the I will be asking the board or proposing to the board that we grant a variance or grant a time frame of either a permit or engineer's report for the repairs that were done, or an inspection with the area inspector. The area inspector is actually on the notice of violation, and that is Inspector Kaplan. I can provide his office number, but these are photographs that were taken August 5th of 2022, showing that the property was posted. I am a little concerned in that this occurred a year ago, and the appeal was filed with the department in a different time frame. So that's why I'm not proposing that we deny it because of a improper filing. It's just that a different form was filled out, so that's why we're hearing the case. But you can see in the photograph there is damage to the roof section of the property, which needed to be repaired. In the appellant's filing does make reference that the repairs were done, so we need either a inspection to occur or a report or the make safe permit to be applied for that repair. That's why I'm making the assessment to the board that we grant the variance for 60 days.
Okay. Pedro, do you want to tell your side of the story? Okay. Pedro, you want to tell your side of the story, please?
Yeah, sure. We filed the appeal because we didn't know if Philadelphia, the city of Philadelphia submitted to repair it, but we went ahead and repaired it anyways. So that was why we filed the appeal. The repairs were done pretty much immediately after everything was ready and we saw the violation. We were going to fix it anyways, but we got it done. So it's really just now doing the inspection with Mr. Kaplan.
Was there a ceiling put back?
I'm
sorry, go ahead.
Was there a ceiling put back in under that roof?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay. Is the Inspector Kaplan scheduled to come out there, Mr. Segura?
No. Now I'm going to reach out, because I thought I needed to do the appeal first, the hearing, but I can definitely reach out to his office, yes.
Okay. Tom, there's three things, either an inspection or a engineering report, or the inspector to go out there. If the inspector goes out and deems it okay, then we're fine.
Yes, so if Inspector Kaplan goes out and takes a look at the repairs and complies the case, then then the case would be complied. In looking at the photographs, I would say that a permit or an engineer's report would be required. So that's why I'm saying that we make the grant for the additional time to get that documentation of 60 days.
Okay. Mr. Segura, you good with that? Have an engineer's report within 60 days?
Sure, that's fine.
So the L9 inspection is
good?
not enough. we're saying,
And then,
right?
I'm looking at the photographs here, you can see that it's open, or it was open in August of 2022, following the damage. As Inspector Kaplan was the inspector that went out and did the inspection, and declared it as unsafe, it would be, he didn't specifically notate that a report was required. But if the repairs were done, he might ask for a report, and that's why I'm making that assertion to the board.
okay, so Tom, if Inspector Kaplan goes out there and sees that the things are done properly, then he wouldn't need an engineering report. And if he went out there and he figured he should have an engineering report, he would say that?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so,
So basically, I'm saying inspection and report and everything due back to the department within the next 60
in 60 days. Okay. All right, Mr. Segura, you okay with that?
I think he's frozen.
Pedro?
Mr. Segura, I don't know if you can hear us, but I would suggest that you have photographs ready to show L&I when they come. Because to come look at a new drywall ceiling and a new roof doesn't tell them a lot. It would help if they could see photos while it was under construction, to see what you did.
He's frozen.
I'm not sure if he
Right.
heard
Mr.
you.
Segura,
I'm sorry.
could you hear, did you hear that?
No, I'm sorry, the connection was dropping a little bit.
Okay.
I was saying,
Okay.
I suggest that you would have pictures, if you have pictures of the construction when it happened, to show that to L&I so they can see that, new plywood was placed, that you sister to Joyce. Otherwise, they're just going to be looking at a drywall ceiling and a new roof.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try to get that from the construction. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise
Yeah,
they ask for it to be removed so they can observe it. Or for an engineer's report, verifying that.
An engineer's report. But the work's fine, okay? All right, Mr. Segura, you okay with that?
Yeah. So yeah, I'll reach out to his office then and try to coordinate. Appreciate it.
Okay, you got 60 days to get it done, okay?
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
All right, good luck, all right?
All right, thank you, sir.
Okay, see you later. Bye-bye now. Okay, good. Okay.
Can you hear
Great.
us?
All right, yes.
I was talking to Edgewood Street.
Yes, good morning.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure you could hear us.
Okay. All right, are we ready for the next case?
Yes, she is here.
Okay,
2422.
yeah, is she
South
waiting
Edgewood
for
Street.
anyone else or is she here by herself?
Are you the
Yes, I'm
only?
here by myself.
Okay, all right, we'll get started, okay?
Yes.
All right, here we go. I'm Wayne Miller, board member.
Amy Rivera, board member.
Ed August, board member.
Ryan McSherry, Board Counsel.
Deborah Richardson, Boards Administration.
Philip Motto, Board Administration.
Matthew Wojcik, LNI Supervisor.
Thomas Rabikowski, City of Philadelphia, License and Inspections.
Okay. Tom, if you're going to be talking in the case, could you please raise your right hand, swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay. Mrs. Burrell, you're going to be testifying in the case. Could you please raise your right hand? Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth.
I'm actually injured at birth, so I could do the best that I can. I'll swear to tell the
Okay.
truth.
Okay. Yeah. And,
Okay.
you swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth. So, and if you could respond by saying the affirmative, yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Tom, you want to give us a little bit about this case?
So what I have is the property at
Mr. Miller, you want me to read this in?
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Thanks, Phil. Please read it into the record. I'm sorry.
Thanks, sir. No, this is number 2 on today's list, MI 2023-005-662. This is for the property located at 2422 South Edgewood Street. The appellant is Carlika Burrell, and she's present in the room today.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Tom, could you tell us a little bit about this case?
So what I have is the property at 2422 South Edgewood Street, following an inspection by the department, was declared as unsafe due to conditions of the rear. The property was declared unsafe in January of 2023, and which prompted the appeal to be filed with the board. The appellant, in their appeal paperwork, the structure is not my problem. The structure of my property was damaged by my neighbor and removed out. So, and I'm assuming that says, and he moved out, so I wasn't able to sue him to fix it. I fell behind bills, lost my job, and going through a hardship, and continues that not able to repair the property. That was the filing in January of this year. And then I'll share my screen and show you the photographs that were taken of the rear of the property that brings us to today's matters. So this is a photograph of the back of the property. It's very hard to see, but the area of concern is the rear wall with the garage, and
Yeah, it hasn't come up
right
yet,
here.
Tom. Okay, I see it. Okay.
There you go. So this is the section with the garage. There's a section of the wall that's collapsed and material is pulled out and missing in that section of the building. The next photographs illustrate that better. It's this section here. It looks like that at one time there was a deck that was embedded, or at least a portion of the structure in the rear of the property, as there's pockets that have been left open in the rear. And then in a better photograph, you can see that there are, or it appears that there are now French doors that have been placed in that rear wall of that property. But the area of concern is this area right in the area with the garage and that wall that needs to be repaired, where the department declared it as unsafe. With that said, we would be looking for a permit for the repair of the property within the next 60 days.
Okay. All right. Mrs. Burrell, you want to tell your side of the story?
Yes, I actually was in like a hardship at the moment. I do have a stable job at the moment, so I am looking into getting that work done as soon as possible. All I can say is I need my home for me and my children, and I don't want it to get tore down, and I'm going to do anything possible for me to get my property fixed. I have a job, so I just...
What's that, Tom?
So I just have one question for Ms. Burrell. Are you living in the property?
At the moment, I am in the property, but it's not really in living condition. So it's like basically I'm just trying to make it.
Okay, so we have another contact address of 1502 South Colorado. Is that another contact address for you?
No, that's actually my mother's address, and I do have like at the time I had someone just taking all my mail out my mailbox, so I use that address as my mailing address also.
Okay, so the department's very concerned with a unsafe property that's occupied. So it would be it's very important that you get these repairs and get a permit and get these repairs done expeditiously, so that it's taken care of. As far as the property, I would make the assertion with the board. Yeah, we would want to have a permit issued with work started within the next 60 days.
Okay, so all I would have is 60 days
I'm
to
not-
get their problem fixed.
I'm not the board. That's just what I
No,
proposed to the board. So with
Mrs.
that,
Burrell, you'll have 60 days to get the permit to start the work. But once you get the permit, you have to continue the work until the building's made safe.
Okay, I
Okay?
truly
you-
understand. Yeah.
Yeah, so you have like 2 months to get the permit and get the contractor to do the job. Okay?
Okay. Yes.
And Tom, there's a list of contractors on the website that are licensed that you can look at. Am I right, Tom?
Yes, so on LNI's website, there are a series of contractors that are listed. They are the ones that hold licenses. That list updates periodically because their licenses change, and the status of their licenses change. There's approximately 3,000 of them. So with Ms. Burrell, I would do my homework. I would certainly ask for references, ask for whoever they've done work for, and make sure to do your homework.
Okay, thank you so much.
And Ms. Burrell,
Okay,
just,
so 60 days. Okay, I'm sorry.
yeah, sorry, let me just add one thing. Just so you know, once
Yes.
a permit is applied for, LNI has 5 business days to review and issue the permit or ask for additional information. So obviously, we urge you to do this as quickly as you can, but that
Okay.
just some sense of how it'll move.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
All right, Mrs. Burrell,
Yes.
thank you very much and good luck, all right?
And I'm just gonna point
You're
out
welcome.
that
Thank you so much.
that Matthew put a link to that list of contractors.
Excuse me, Aim?
In the Zoom chat, Matthew put the list of the contractors with the city for you to access.
Okay,
Okay,
you can access there, Mrs. Burrell, okay?
yes, I can access it in the Zoom chat.
Yeah, there's a
I
chat.
put the link in the
You
Zoom
look like you
chat.
might be on a cell phone, so I don't know how easy it would be. But in
Yeah,
the chat,
I see the chat. I do
Okay.
see it. Thank
why don't you click on
Okay.
that link before you sign off? Just so you have it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
I'll click on it now.
Okay,
Okay.
did the
Yep.
contractors come up? Okay, great.
Yes,
Great.
it's actually a whole 4 page of things that I can find everything that I would need. Yes.
All right, good.
Okay,
Yep.
perfect.
hmm
Okay, good luck, all right?
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a good day, all right? Bye-bye.
You
Yeah.
too. Thank you. All right. Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Okay.
Mr. Miller, the appellants are here for the next item whenever you're ready.
We're ready. Is everybody ready? Okay.
Yeah.
Bring them in. 442 North 60th Street. Okay, tell me when they're in, Deb.
Mr. Wright
Or
is
Phil.
here. I've just asked him to unmute his phone though.
Okay,
There we go. You're all set, Mr. Miller?
okay. We're gonna get started. My name's Wayne Miller. I'm a board member.
Amy Rivera, board member.
Ted August, board member.
Brian McSherry, Board Counsel.
Deborah Richardson, Boards Administrator.
Philip Motto, Boards Administration.
Matthew Wojcik, LNI Supervisor.
Thomas Rybakowski, City of Philadelphia, License and Inspections.
Okay, all witnesses I'm going to ask to swear you in individually. Tom, you'll go first. Swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Wright, who else with your group is going to be testifying?
Just me.
Just you? Okay, Mr. Wright, could you please raise your right hand? Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Okay, Phil, would you want to put that into the record?
Yes, sir. This is case number 3 on today's list. MI 2023-005-664 for the property located at 442 North 60th Street. The appellant is Kevin Wright. Mr. Wright is present in the room today.
Okay, fine. Tom, would you want to tell us a little bit about this case?
So what we have is we have the property at 442 North 60th Street. Following an inspection that occurred by the department, was declared as unsafe. That violation is for the main roof, deteriorated exterior wall, bulged and fractured. And I'll share my screen and show the photographs of the property following an inspection. In fact, the department was out at the property this morning, or roughly mid-afternoon, did a secondary inspection for additional photographs. As photographs were provided to the board and to the appellant, or to the board by the appellant via emailing this morning. And those photographs that were provided by the appellant ironically do not show the area of concern of the department. So I will share my screen and show the area of concern for 442 North 60th Street. I would also point out that, in fact, the property directly next to this property, which would be 444, which would be 444 North 60th, has been declared following an inspection in August 25th, as material fell from the top of this property onto the public sidewalk. And this property is owned by the same individual, the appellant, and this property was declared as eminently dangerous. So not only do we have one property, but we have two properties right next to each other that have structural issues. So with that, I'll share my screen.
Tom, we're only doing the one house, 442, right?
Correct. The appeal was filed for 442, not 444. But as a matter of reference and a matter of area of concern, the department gets very concerned when we have an unsafe structure. We get even more concerned when we have an eminently dangerous structure, and consequently, we
understood
a eminently dangerous sitting next to a unsafe property, both owned by the same individual.
Okay.
So these are the photographs that were taken by the department. I have a photograph of the posting. You can actually see that the property was posted. It was posted June 27th of following an inspection that occurred, and it was posted June of 2023. And on the left-hand side, you can see a photograph of the front of the property. You can actually see the semblance of the posting on the fence to the left-hand side. And I'll enlarge the photograph. But so these are the areas of concern. There's a lot of overgrowth on the rear wall of the property, but the area of concern is right up at this section where there is a tree that is actually growing on the outside of the property, and it has caused a fracture to open up on the exterior wall and has pushed the roof and deteriorated the roof in this section of the property. You have a fracture and the bricks are actually pushing out of the property. This is another photograph of the rear of the property, and there's a lot of overgrowth in that alleyway. And then this is another photograph. Here's the fracture area, left-hand side. You can see it stepping down and running along that masonry work. You can also see it in the next photograph on the right-hand side as it steps down. These are the photographs that were provided by the appellant via email this morning. This is a photograph of the side of the property. This is a photograph of the same area, but it does not show the area of concern that the department is showing. This is a photograph of the back of the rear of the property, but it just shows the overgrowth. It does not show the masonry wall. There's another.
Is this all 442?
This is all 442. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay.
So this is another photograph provided via email by the appellant. Again, does not show the area of concern. It does show the rear wall, but it does not show the fracture. And then these are photographs that were taken by the appellant, showing the roof, but not showing the area. It's far enough away. You can see the overgrowth is taking root above and over the wall and the masonry and the roof itself, but it does not show the section that has the fracture that the inspector was making note of.
Okay.
And then
You done, Tom?
no, I have just one other. This is the property for the neighboring property, which was declared as eminently dangerous. It's the property at 444. As a matter of record, I'm just introducing it as a matter of fact, in that it will show and illustrate the front of that property, which is just to the right of this one. And it shows that the area was caution taped off at the time the department responded to that call, August 25th of this year. And you have the material at the top had let go and collapsed onto the public walkway of the property. With that said, we would be asking for a permit for both properties for the repair by a licensed contractor for a make safe permit for both properties within the next 30 days. With that said, I'll rest.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Wright, can you tell your part of the story?
Yeah, hi. The part that he shows where the tree has pushed against some of the brickwork. I'm going to have to first get permission from my neighbor to remove some of that tree. The tree is in her property. It's not on my property. It's a fairly large tree. So all the overgrowth is on my neighbor's. Is on my neighbor's property, and that tree is a substantial tree that, even though it's kind of like her tree is affecting my property somewhat. So that's one little thing that I have to figure that out, how to resolve that issue with that large tree. And actually it's kind of like tipping over into my property.
Tom, maybe you can answer this. My understanding is that any part of a tree that is hanging onto your property, you have the right to deal with it. Now, that doesn't necessarily solve the problem, but you have the right to cut it away where it's on your property. Is that correct? That's sort of an L&I question, I guess.
So my understanding.
Tom, do you hear that?
Get the video on. For some reason, my camera went off, but it's my understanding.
We see it, Tom.
Yep. So it's my understanding that if the tree crosses the property line, it is the owner of that property, not the property owner of the tree, but when it crosses the property line, it becomes the owner of that property's responsibility to cut back the tree. Now, we're not certainly the department is not going to tell somebody that they can go and enter on to somebody else's property. That's a civil matter between property owner and property owner. But I did just start sharing my screen again. Mr. Wright makes an assessment that the overgrowth, the overgrowth is growing over onto his building. So he would have to get the overgrowth. you know, it might be, or the origin might be coming from somebody else's property, but it's overgrowing onto his building. So it's a property maintenance issue by the appellant.
Even though the overgrowth is coming from my neighbor.
Is it coming through a fence?
Well, my property line ends where I'm looking at it ends where my brickworks. My property line ends where my brickwork ends.
So there's a common alleyway behind the property, correct?
Yeah, there's an alleyway, yes, sir. But that tree is on their property.
But there's a common alleyway, correct?
Yes, there's a common alley, yes, sir.
Yeah, so a common alleyway would mean an easement. So that is a common easement. So you would essentially contact a arborist to cut the tree safely away from your building.
Okay, well,
is it,
I mean,
so he wouldn't be sued or anything for going on her property or anything like that?
Like I said, we're not going to say that to go on to somebody else's property, but if there's a common easement, then you can access the common easement. If there
cut down the tree that's on the common easement,
you would maintain it far just as it makes. If it's going into the easement, then you would cut it back far enough where it's not going to be contacting your property.
Well,
I mean, ultimately, Mr. Wright, you could also seek legal counsel on how to access or grant permission onto that person's property.
okay, but in addition, like if it was a small tree, there's one like her tree is causing damage to my property, and it's not a small. It is squarely on her property, and that tree, that tree is going to have some costs to bear, but it's basically her tree is causing my damage. It's causing the damage.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? It's not a. If it was a small tree, that's one thing, but it's not a small tree.
Well, unfortunately, that's not the assertion for the board. That's not the assertion for the department either. That is a civil matter between property owner and property owner.
Okay.
Okay, so how long would it take to have that resolved?
You asking me?
I'm asking Tom or you, anybody. I mean, if you have to go to court to get that done, then what's our time frame? Do you know, Tom?
I don't have an answer for all I have is that I have an unsafe building with a common easement with material that could fall onto the common easement.
Yes.
I have a
understand.
unsafe building, and then I have an eminently dangerous building. Both connected to each other, both need maintenance and repair, both require a permit. We're petitioning the board for a variance of 30 days to obtain that permit, make those necessary repairs. If not, then the department can seek other lines of enforcement. But for today's proceedings, it's my assertion to the board to grant the variance for 30 days.
I think from a practical standpoint, ideally, you approach the neighbor, you say, this tree is clearly causing damage to my building. It needs to be dealt with jointly, arranged together to have it removed, share the costs. If the neighbor is not willing to do that, then you need to take care of enough of the tree that is impacting the building. And unfortunately, that would fall on you, and whether you pursue the neighbor for damages, that's again beyond our purview. But at the end of the day, it really needs to be dealt with in the next 30 days.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
I need time to do all this stuff.
Is
Am
the
I able
back
to
of
make-
that building a garage or what is that space? Where
What'd
the
you say?
tree, what is the space where the tree is? Is it a
Oh, no,
garage?
no, it's not. No, it's nowhere. It's nowhere near the. It's nowhere near the garage.
Well, what is that space used for? Where the brick is cracked and the tree is growing?
I like a this storage. I mean, storage
Okay.
stuff. Nothing special.
Okay.
Okay,
And is that edge, that corner of the building right up against the alley in the back?
The alley, yeah.
And
Yes,
I just have a clarification too. On Atlas, this shows up as one big property from 442 to 448, it looks like. But Tom, you're saying you have it as two different violations on two different properties. So I'm confused.
So let me see, I can share my screen, and I'll show you the properties. Let me see here. I just got to move one screen to the other side.
I mean, I have it up on Atlas if you want me to share a screen.
So
That's what we're saying. For the garage thing, we're gonna have to come up with something.
can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
I say it ain't up yet, but we can see what you're going for. Yes, we see your screen.
There we go. So this is the property here of 442. It's basically the row home. If you go to the parcel or just go onto here, but if you use the street map, this square building right here is 444 North 60th Street. And if you look at the street view, it's the one with the red, vibrant red paint. The 442 is the row home, and then it stretches back and actually makes an L and goes behind 440 and 438.
Okay, Atlas just shows them as one big conglomeration.
Tom, can you with your
Okay,
cursor
so-
could you show where the tree is in question here?
Yeah, that would help.
So in all the photographs, it's very
No,
difficult
just show
to
it.
show.
Tom,
it
show
would
us with
be-
your cursor.
It would be in this area here. Because
Okay.
you got from the photographs, you can see that here's the trampoline or pool.
Mhm.
And then
Right.
here's the yards back here. It would be all along this common alleyway along there.
So is the tree coming from across the alleyway or the neighbor's yard with the pool?
Neighbor's yard with wait a minute. Neighbor's yard with the pool, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's across the alley?
But what's the extent of the roof of the that the brick building there? It's hard to see in this photo. Underneath the.
It looks like at one time this was a row home with a warehouse or something behind it connected, and the warehouse back here is the area of concern that the unsafe is on.
Can I ask you something?
Yes.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah. Is there a possibility of giving me 70 days to figure this stuff out?
How imminently dangerous is that other building, Tom?
We've already had material fall off the roof line and land on the sidewalk.
Well, but that's-
Actively, because looking on Google, I see pictures from 2019, and it almost looks like that damage was there then.
We actively had a call come in with caution tape in August.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, these are two separate issues. In terms of the tree, the damage there being repaired. Do you see any imminent danger
Talked about
if
that.
we give 60 days for that
For that, I don't think it-
and require 30 days to deal with 444?
Like clarify.
Well, I mean, 444 is not under appeal.
Right.
It's a matter of record in that the property owner, and it's a matter with the board in that the property owner submitted photographs this morning and made a appeal via a filing with no bulging, no buckling rear wall, and then supplied photographs this morning, not showing the entire building, not showing the whole aspect of the case. And with presumption that there's no unsafe condition on the property. So the department showed photographs of the cracked area or the fracture area of the building. It was plainly in the same area. And Mr. Wright knows this area. It's his building. He was standing right there. You can't tell me that he didn't look up. But he neglected to add a photograph of the area of concern. Then we also have the same owner has a building directly next to this one, and we have material falling on the sidewalk and it's deemed eminently dangerous. That's why the department placed it in front of the board, because it is relevant. We have a property that's vacant. We have a property next to it that's eminently dangerous and vacant, and it needs maintenance from an owner that, in my assertion or in what I'm representing to the board, tried to disguise it, that the department was, and tried to mislead the board.
Can I say something in my
Yes,
defense?
you can. Go ahead.
Yeah, it said bulging wall. To me, you're talking about 7 bricks with the tree. I'm looking at the bulging wall. Like when you look at the violation, you have me believe that the wall is like the walls are bulging, and they're not bulging. This is like 6, 7, 8 bricks. That a tree, that someone else's tree is going against my building. I'm not trying to rip you guys off or try to lie and cheat and steal. Like when somebody says a bulging building, you're like if somebody said to you my building is bulging, you would say a bulging wall. You would say, oh my God. You say, what's going on? We're talking about a tree that's touching my building, and it's like 8 bricks. That's not a bulging wall. That's like 8 bricks in an alleyway.
Okay. So
and nobody's using, and so I'm like you're accusing me of cheating you guys, and that's not what's going on here. I'm looking at a bulging, the back wall, the side wall. I took a picture of all of and the roof. That's what I'm looking at. A bulging wall and some other issues with the roof. I don't see that. You're trying to make 10 cents worth of $2, and then you tell me I'm making stuff up. I'm lying or something. Why would I do that?
What I'm saying is, Mr. Wright, this isn't the only property you own, correct?
What does that have to do with this property, sir? You're bringing all this stuff like you're trying to. We're talking about one thing. That matter of fact, 448, 444, 448. I just got the what do you call it? The violation yesterday. So I haven't even had a chance to even think about it. I just got it. But to come here and add, I mean, if you're saying to me, oh, we're going to talk about your heart and then we're going to talk about your feet at the same, and I'm not even prepared for this 448 issue.
Okay, let's get back on track.
So you beat up on everybody. I'm not allowed to have another property or something like that. I don't know what's wrong.
What I'm saying.
Why you keep? Huh? Go ahead.
What I'm bringing up is this the only property are these two the only 2 properties that you own in the city?
No, is that a sin that somebody can have another property?
No.
I live in this property right here. My mom has a property. My family has a property. One has
but
nothing to do with the other. I would
No,
deal
it
with
don't.
one thing at a time.
if the
Okay.
board permits me, I will say where I'm going with this.
All right, let's go. Go ahead, Tom. Got a couple minutes.
Okay,
Go.
this isn't the only property that you own in the city of Philadelphia, correct, Mr. Wright?
So you're telling me, I already answered that question.
That's
No,
not my
it's not
question.
the only property I own, have in the city of Philadelphia, but you don't want nobody to own more than one property in the city of Philadelphia? Is
That
that
wasn't my
the kind of,
question.
no, I just answered the question. I own more than one property, sir. I own the
Okay.
property that I live in.
Have you pulled make safe permits before?
Yes,
So you're familiar with the make safe process on applying and obtaining make safe permits?
let me say this. Your make safe process changed during COVID. It changed.
Not my
It's
question.
changed. I already answered. Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay.
And
So
it's very difficult.
in relevance to today, 442 is a unsafe property. It was designated unsafe by the board, by the department. My assertion to the board is that I'm willing and to grant the variance for 30 days to obtain a permit. With that, the department will rest.
Okay.
And I'm
Okay.
asking for 70 days, sir.
Okay. All right.
Since he bought
I
up the
think
other property.
Okay, let's caucus. Ted, Amy, Phil, can you give us the breakout room?
He has it.
Okay,
He has it set up. I'm gonna go.
okay. All right, I'm trying to get on it. All right. Okay.
Phil, can you give me access? Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
Do they have to look down?
Okay. All right. Are we all back in the room?
Yes.
Okay, we're back here, right?
Yes, sir.
Mr.
Yes.
Wright, Phil, everybody, Tommy?
Yes.
Okay. We're making a ruling on 442 North 60th Street. You have 45 days to get a permit and make safe. I would
45 days to
hope
have
that you
applied
do.
for the permit.
What's that?
45 days to have applied for the permit.
Yeah, 45 days to apply for a permit, and then from when you get the permit, you got to continue till it's made safe.
Thank you.
Okay?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, Tom?
All right. Sounds
Okay.
good. Thank you
All right,
very
guys.
much.
Thank you. All
All
right.
right. Enjoy. Have a
All
good
right.
one.
All right.
All right, good luck, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Start the recording. Hi, good afternoon. BBS hearing, October 5th. I'm Amy Rivera.
Ted August, board member.
John
Board counsel. Oh, sorry, John.
That's all right. John Dimes Fire Code.
Ryan McSherry, board counsel.
Deborah Richardson, Boards Administration.
Philip Motto, Boards Administration.
Matthew Wojcik, LNI Supervisor.
I have to swear in everybody that's gonna testify. So, would that be all four of you?
No, not all of us will need to speak, but you should swear us in case you have a question for us.
Sure. And if everybody could turn cameras on. Just, we're supposed to have a visual of everybody.
Would you like us to introduce ourselves?
No, well, no, you don't.
I'm
Janice, you
Yes,
swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, raising your right hand.
I do.
Mr. Miller, you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, raising your right hand.
I do.
Mr. Nixon, you swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, raising your right hand.
I do.
And Mr. Swisher, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, raising your right hand?
I do.
Okay, thank you. All right, Bill, can you read this in?
Yes, ma'am. This is case number 4 on today's list, MI 2023-005-603, for the property located at 2901 Hunting Park Avenue. The appellants are George Swisher and Janice Woodcock. Both are present in the room.
I will just introduce George as the electrical engineer for this project. We have been working on this building for a number of years to bring it into compliance. So the context for the case is that the fire pump in this building exploded several years ago, and we have been working on restoring the fire pump and finishing sprinklering the entire building, as well as dividing the building into 2 pieces, which I know this board has heard about before. So this work is in that context, and I'll hand it over to George Swisher to describe the specific issue.
Yes, thank you, Janice. The gist of this particular project is to replace the fire pump so we can have a fully sprinklered building backed up by a fire pump because of pressure and flow issues with the street pressure. There was an existing fire pump. It was tapped into medium voltage switchgear. The switchgear is located behind the building, outside of the building. And our intention was to reuse that tap location. That was submitted to electrical plans reviewer. The electrical plans reviewer came back with a refusal, and basically on the grounds that the fire pump tap connection is not in a physically separate cabinet and it's not ahead of the main service disconnecting needs. We do not dispute either of those claims. I'd like to bring up are we allowed to share a screen on this, Amy?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to bring up a photo to try and help everyone understand the existing condition situation that we're dealing with. So give me a second here. All right, is everyone able to see a photo on the screen?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the medium voltage switchgear that's located behind the building outside. And it's, as I mentioned before, it's at 13.2 kV service from Pico out on Hunting Park. It's all routed underground to this piece of switchgear, at which point the service comes into the switchgear, hits a main switch, goes up through a series of bus bars. This is the point. This cabinet is where it's metered by Pico. And then the service splits off into 2 feeders to feed the building. It is at this point where the fire pump was tapped. The service ran up the building, across the roof, and down into the building. All that has since been removed. And as part of this project, we're installing completely new 2-hour rated mineral insulated cable in the basement of the building. So that'll be routed through the basement to the new fire pump room, which will be rated, and to a new fire pump. So from this piece of gear into the building, we believe we're fully code compliant with today's codes. And really the only issue that we're facing now is with this tap connection in the switchgear. So what we're proposing is, instead of this switch here being treated as a service disconnecting means, we use these 2 switches as a service disconnecting means. The fire pump tap will be reestablished. This fire pump tap will be ahead of these 2 switches. So when firefighters come to the building to respond to a fire within the building and they want to de-energize the building, they are able to open these 2 switches to completely de-energize the building while maintaining service to the fire pump. So
Just
we're
a clarification with that. I mean, would they be obligated to disconnect both of those, or is there the option of disconnecting one and leaving the other? And do those serve separate fire areas within the building, or are they, is it not as simple as that?
Ted, actually, right now, the building is powered completely off service disconnect one. Service disconnect 2 is feeding a pad mount transformer that's outside the building and is presently not being used. However, there are plans in the future to re-energize or to make use of that capacity for future renovations within the building. So I think to be safe, both of these switches should be opened to positively disconnect power to the building.
Thanks.
So then our proposal would really achieve equivalent facilitation administratively. We want to improve the identification of the switch that feeds the fire pump, make sure that's, there's some red marking on there, some signage and so forth. We would want to add proper signage to each of the disconnect switches to identify them as the service disconnecting means. And then we would welcome any firefighter orientation or training that fire marshal's office would be comfortable with.
Did you happen to talk to the reviewer and ask if it had been submitted this way, would they have approved it, or would there still be issues?
We did not have any conversations with the reviewer, but we did have conversations with the electrician's third-party inspector. And the third-party inspector basically said, I'm not going to review this the way it's designed because it's in violation of the code. And they were unwilling to pursue it any farther.
So George, can I just ask you to clarify then? This came up after we got our permit and during the point which we would get the electrical inspection?
Yes.
So we did,
yeah, so
the way that we're presenting it, we did submit that and we did get a permit for that from the city.
A building permit, right?
Yes, a building.
Yes.
Permit.
Yes, the permit that is being refused is the electrical permit.
John Dimes, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I took a look at this case yesterday, and what's being proposed, the signage is key, and having a single location where we can de-energize the whole building, because just operationally, obviously, I am not a electrician. I don't think we have an electrician on the board, but it's always when we go into a fire, we go into something that the first and ladder company, sometimes a second and ladder company, well, it shuts down the utilities. And the incident commander will ask, are the utilities off? You want to show off the gas, the electric, because, not so good things can happen. So if it's at one location and it's properly signed and we can de-energize the whole building and there's not, any, and again, it's so close, they're right next to each other. I personally, operationally, don't think there's a problem. The fear comes to, you think the building's de-energized and there's another switch somewhere else remotely and there's still going power into a building and somebody can get hurt. So, I mean, this isn't a fire code issue. It's more of an electrical code issue, but from an operational standpoint with the fire department, if it's just a matter of hitting two switches instead of one in the same area and they're properly signed, I don't have a problem with it. And as far as his suggestion is about local training with the first couple of engine companies, that can always be arranged. And that's been done in the past, maybe not with this issue, but some other things that are a little uniquely done.
Yeah, I think that sounds great, John. I think training would be key for this building. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the layout or if the engine company is.
It's a big building.
It's a big building and the switchgear is out behind the building. It's not readily obvious where it is, so.
Signage on the building directing to that also, so that may also be an option, just not at the switchgear, but also a sign that can be visible to approaching apparatus, as we do with some fire department connections that aren't always properly placed. That may have to be looked at also. And yeah, I was in that building. There's been a couple variance cases through not only the Board of Building Standards, but the Board of Safety. So is it still a food storage and distribution center?
Yes.
Okay.
I think the board should caucus.
Okay. See you there.
Stop the recording. Over recording again. We'd like to continue this case. We feel like we need more expertise in the meeting. So we can understand the electrical implications, and we're wondering if a third-party inspector could be present if we schedule you for our next hearing. And we'd also like to potentially get L&I electrical plans examiners involved.
And we'd like to clarify just the process that's been gone through, just to make sure we weren't sure we heard it correctly. I assume that, George, you applied for an electrical permit independent of the building permit. When that goes in, L&I don't know if it's electrical unit or L&I issues an electrical permit. The third-party inspection is done by a third-party independent inspector that you hire on the owner's behalf, and they are the ones. They are the ones. Sorry, whoever's talking in the background, if you can.
It's Wayne.
Okay, sorry. So, yeah, the third-party inspector then is the one who was not willing to either inspect or approve what had been approved in the electrical permit. Are we hearing that right, or is something off in that?
I think it's slightly off. So you're correct. We submitted for electrical permit. Electrical L&I reviewed and then rejected and provided the refusal. As part of the electrician's work, the electrician hires a third-party inspector that certifies that their work has been installed in accordance with the code. The electrician had provided their third-party inspector with a copy of the plans independent of the review process by L&I. And that's when we learned that they were unwilling to even inspect it without having someone above them to bless it, so to speak. Does that make sense?
George, what it's maybe not clear is L&I never rejected the design solution. It was the inspector, third-party inspector, who rejected it.
Now, L&I did reject it.
They did ultimately, but we don't know whether they would have initially.
Well, George was saying that you didn't even get an electrical permit. That's why we got a refusal.
That's correct.
So there was no electrical permit.
But it was the inspector that brought it up. I think Will Nixon, if he's still here, he could talk about what happened.
I can, yeah. So what George said is correct. It's a little confusing. So there were two paths. So initially, I had our electrician come to the site with their inspection agency, a third party that they employ to do the inspection of the project. And they raised a concern about the, what we've spoken about today. So they also did, as George said, object to inspecting against it unless there was some type of approval of, beyond them, such as L&I or as we are here today, someone else above that yet further. L&I did subsequently refuse it. They rejected it. We broke our electrical into two packages and we got approval on the lighting and the switching, and the fire pump portion of it was rejected. And we do have that. So I don't know if that made it more clear.
Yeah, but so has actually the work been done with the exception of whatever ultimately gets done at the switchgear or not? No. So, okay.
The fire pump portion of work has not been touched. We've made some submittals and back end things of that nature, but we have not performed any of the work. We've been proceeding with the electrical portion that was approved, which was limited to lighting and power for, appearances and things like that.
Okay, so it's not a question of a third party inspector looking at work in place. It's
Correct.
looking at work on paper. Okay.
Yeah, thankfully.
Got it. Well, I think Amy and Wayne, if you're there, I think we still sort of land in the same place where we would, want to further the discussion with both the third party entities' expertise and whatever we can muster on our end, in addition to what John has provided on behalf of the fire department. So we meet again in 2 weeks. And Debbie, is the agenda swamped or,
No, right now I have 2 refusals, so this would make 3.
All right, yeah.
And
So
then
that's-
don't have too many violation cases as of yet. So
That would be October 9th.
2 weeks going to be enough. If not, you could. The next one's November 2nd.
If I could, I'll have to certainly coordinate with if the owner and their design team choose to, use our third party inspector, I'll have to coordinate with them. I assume they will. But I would schedule it now if you can, folks, and I'll just work, we could always reschedule it, I assume, and cancel and drop off them for the next one. But I would say take the slot for 2 weeks from now if we could, and I will work to schedule them.
And just to be clear, it matters that it's the third party inspector that had the problem, not just any third party inspector, correct?
Amy, that makes sense. And I think, John, we're not simply looking to find a third party inspector who would be comfortable with this. I think the concerns have been expressed. So I think, we should do that.
We'll make every effort to make sure it's that one. I don't know that we control that, but we'll certainly make every effort.
Yeah.
All right, that concludes the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so October 19th is our next Board of Building Standards hearing date. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for your time.